Good Tuesday morning. Welcome all to Drive Time. Have a lot of special guests here with us today. Starting to my left and working down, Bob Jones, Lauren Yoder, Danny Cottrell. All of you should know them. They are been stalwarts of our community for many, many years, and excited about having them here. I thought that Kenwood was going to have some Nashville brass queued up in honor of Bob being here as they get things kicked off. But of course, Bob was good enough or brave enough, however you want to put it, to come on with us last year, and certainly excited to have all of you back with us again today. And welcome to Drive Time.
I'm not even sure you can find Nashville brass on Amazon or somewhere. You'd have to dig in the archives.
I've Googled it. It's there. It's there.
Good.
Oh, it's there.
All right. Well,
it's there.
I'll have to listen to it.
And again, we have a lot of fun with that. Of course, once again, talking about the visit we had with you guys last year, and so excited to have y'all back, and you're always welcome, and certainly happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about what's going on down in Atmore. Of course, both of you and Lauren are with United Bank. Lauren's the branch manager here in Bruton. Excited about the presence here and excited about her being here as well. Talk a little bit about how all that's going.
Well, I'll let Lauren kind of kick it off. Not only does she the manager in Bruton, but now East Bruton. We just opened the doors yesterday. Yesterday was our first day on the soft opening. We've partnered with Danny and his new pharmacy over there, and so you can come in and get your drugs and your money in the same place. I mean, it's kind of a reverse strategy in modern business, you know. So, but it's
the only problem is they don't have a loan department there to buy the drugs.
Well, we're working on it. That's coming. Yeah,
I don't know if we need that.
But that will not be far behind. So, we're thrilled to be and have that opening coming. And so, Lauren, you want to tell them something about it?
We're really excited. We're open from 9 to 4 over there, and yesterday was a good day. Everyone seems excited to have us in East Bruton. Apparently it's a big thing. You can't go across the railroad tracks. So we're really excited, and Danny has everything you can imagine in that pharmacy. So,
well, the people of East Bruton are great people, and they really support local business. I mean, they really encouraged us to get a bank over there and to get a pharmacy back. And we were fortunate enough to, when Fred's closed their pharmacy, the store itself is still open, but they closed their pharmacy. We got all of their staff, Shannon Thompson, Alex Walker, and Renee Frazier, and they worked with me until we could get that store back open. So, and we had just a little space to open the bank. It might be the smallest bank you've ever seen. But
it may be the smallest bank in America. I don't know. We may need to see on Ripley's Believe It or Not, or Guinness's World Record, and see what it do.
But it's been very good.
Well, good. Certainly excited to have those new additions to the community. And, of course, both of you, or all three of you, have always been community-oriented and seeing where there might be a need and maybe an opportunity to help out and assist.
Let's do this real quick. I mean, the very first thing we got to do is recognize that the pot got splashed twice this morning when they walked in the door. So
they're going to want to hear that here.
Yeah, I mean,
splash it.
So I'll let Lauren say what they did, and then we'll splash it, and we'll let Danny say what they did.
So we decided that we wanted to throw $250 in the pot.
There you go.
Great.
How about that?
We matched that.
And Danny Cottrell, and what is that? What do they call it's United Bank / what's the name? Hometown Farm. Yeah, that's what I thought. I want to make sure I'm terrible with names. I want to make sure I got that. So for everyone who wants to know, everybody's like, what's the total? It's over 20 grand. That's all I can tell you.
Wow.
I don't know exactly what the total is, but it's over $20,000 now for sure.
We had another splash come in from Timberline Homes. Winston Lindsay.
That's right. I forgot. Yep. So it's definitely, we're getting closer probably to 21,000 now.
Winston's splash was a long wheelbase 10, $100 to the pot. Whoever wins that, if you chose to purchase a home at Timberline Homes, that $100 turns into $2,000.
Yes,
so
that's a good deal.
That could be substantial, could it not?
That could be pretty strong right there for sure. Mm-hmm. And of course,
I bet Lauren would help him with a loan on that.
I was about to say.
Probably he can throw something into the pot.
But now, apparently she don't like to make loans on drugs. Is what she said a while ago. So
yeah, we're not doing that.
I was going to say you'd probably have a line out the door over there at both locations. If you said, okay, so everybody needs to understand they do not loan money on drugs. Let's tell that right now, because I want you to know sometimes we put things out and people like to read into especially clues. They like to read into these things. I also want to make one public announcement touching on that. While school is in session, any school is off limits for hunting, period. If there's a ball game or anything like that going on, it's off limits for hunting. I'm not telling you not to hunt there. Just don't hunt there while it's in session or some extracurricular activities going on, because I told them all, call the cops. I mean, our teachers and children and staff, administrators, they need to feel safe and that kind of thing. They don't want to look out a window and see people out there rumbling around out there in the back, that kind of thing. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't. I know you have kids in the school system. I do. DJ does. I wouldn't want to look out there and feel that, and for my child to feel that way either. So just a reminder. Of course, we remind people about a lot of things, but all we can do is put that out there.
I want to hit on something real quick if I can, and of course get everybody to comment as they will. And Danny, you may not know this, but you played a part in the Dash for Cash. And I'm going to tell you how. When it was Ken's brainchild in terms of the scavenger hunt and putting the money out, but we were talking about ways of how to stimulate local economy, get people out, spend the money locally, this, that, and the other. And we referenced and talked many times about the initiative you had several years ago with the $2 bills, which I thought was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was. And the way that got out, and I think if I'm right, if I'm correct, and certainly correct me if I'm wrong, you encourage those to give a portion of it to the people that receive, I think it's graduating seniors maybe or something?
Well, we did the graduating seniors the second year.
Okay.
The first year, the employees were supposed to spend the money local, downtown preferably, and give 15% to somebody who needed it worse than they did.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I thought that was certainly a testament to the way you have lived your life and the contributions and things you've done for our communities here. But so it kind of went on those same lines. We were thinking about that, and I think
we talked. As a matter of fact, the initial conversation I had with DJ actually started off with, "Hey, you remember what Danny Cottrell did?"
Yeah.
I mean, it did, and I didn't mean to.
Well, no, you're good. But I think the communities that have been involved in the search area have seen some of that. The people we've had in our area, and they've been from everywhere. They are buying gas, they are buying lunch, they are buying snacks that otherwise may not have been. So we certainly hope that all of our areas, whether it's Monroe, Atmore, Uri, Flomaton, Evergreen, Bruton, East Bruton, is all benefiting somewhat from that. And we've certainly been happy to hear the different testimonies of the people who are doing this as families or friends, people getting out, enjoying the weather, enjoying our beautiful towns. I mean, the pictures that get posted on our Facebook page, I really thought I knew the area well. And it turns out,
me too.
I knew very little. We talked about the building there in Burnt Corn that had the Coca-Cola advertisement on the wall. I never knew it was there, never seen it. Certainly a great picture. I think Dalton Hart is the one that posted the one I'm talking about.
What about the ones I think it was just posted a couple of days ago from Paul, Alabama?
Yeah.
With the bridge.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of really nice areas around all our communities here that I never had a clue. Paul, I did because I've hunted up that way, but Tunnel Spring, all around over there. It's just there's a lot of beautiful areas that we didn't have a clue about.
But Danny, if you would speak to that a little bit, because it did stem from what you did so many years ago.
Well, of course, we did this in March of '09, which was the height of the timber crisis. Everything had just sort of slowed down, and I had some of my employees that thought they were about to get fired. And so I wanted to do something to make them know they weren't going anywhere. And one thing led to another, and, we decided, well, maybe we could do something to help the community. And the the $2 bills came to mind, and so we were able to get $16,000 in $2 bills, and it just took off from there.
How long? And I'm just curious. How long did it? First off, how did they look at you when you walked in there and said, "I need $16,000 in $2 bills"? And secondly, how long did it take to come up with that?
They ordered them.
Oh, I got you.
They had to have them printed, probably.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know if like banks, had that just laying around or that kind of thing.
Well, I'll say this: I didn't schedule my meeting with the employees until I got them.
You didn't know how long it was going to take. I got you. I got you.
But I got them that week.
Yeah. Well, we have some bankers here. Maybe if when we get all the money collected, whatever the pot ends up being, we can just convert it to $2 bills.
You know what? And the crazy thing about that, what if we handed somebody 20, say it gets to 22, 20, whatever, just say it's $25,000. What if we handed somebody $25,000 in a bag of $2 bills and said, "Look here, we're going to know where you spend this."
So that happens a lot.
Yeah,
People
right.
are angry or getting a divorce. They when they have to give so much money, they'll come into the bank and they want to do it in quarters or pennies.
Are you
kidding me?
It's a thing.
Really?
It's a thing.
Let's see. Let me write that down. If I ever see Jessica come home with a bag of quarters, I'm gonna know things just went south at my house.
Well, she might just want to throw them at you.
Well, she probably had already thrown something at me by that time if it got that bad. I'll say that. But that is crazy. I didn't realize that. I know they want you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you need to have your quarters and dimes and nickels rolled up now, do you not, when you come in? I mean, it's not one of them things anymore where y'all take them and throw them in a machine. Yeah, it's easier to go to the doesn't one of the grocery stores here have
but they charge you a fee.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you something. I'd pay it. I can't stand change like rattling around in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So I dump it all in a cup in my truck, and then I dump it in Kinsley's piggy bank when I dump it out. But every now and again we'll take it up there and toss that machine. I don't care what I'm not going to sit there and roll all that stuff up. I mean, just hand me something that tells me how much it is.
Yeah,
that's right.
So Bob,
yes, sir.
we talked about, of course, DJ mentioned it earlier. We have talked about the Nashville Brass. I'm not joking. Since the day you were on the show last year during the Dash for Cash, we have talked about the Nashville Brass ever since, have we not?
I went as far at the Dash Bash. We had the Velcro Pygmies come into play. I said, "Is there any way that y'all can play anything by the Nashville Brass? Just find them and give me one song by the Nashville Brass."
He did.
I begged them to. I begged them to. I love it. The Nashville Brass.
I want to say that Pete, the sound guy, I may be wrong. I want to say he might have queued one up and played before the show actually started.
How about that?
Just because we have loved that. I mean,
I got to resurrect that. I got to use that somewhere.
And did you got fired for playing that?
Yeah,
and
I did.
You said before the show, so it didn't make it to the show.
Well, it was kind of the
There's
intro to the show. It was. Yeah, that was quite an experience. It stuck with me.
A banker was born.
Something. I mean,
would have been Dr. Johnny Fever otherwise.
Yeah. I don't know. It was back in those days. Young people got a chance to do a lot of things and work, and it's harder today. And that's unfortunate because I think you learn to work by working.
And I like the way you said that.
Well, and it's true.
Yes, I agree.
I remember. My first job was mowing lawns, and I had a push mower, and I'd pull it behind my bike, and I had 3 or 4 people I'd go mow the lawns for, and I'd collect the money. Well, I wanted a new bike. My folks said, "Well, if you want it, you got to buy it." So I went down to Western Auto, made a down payment on it, and kept paying along with this bicycle till I had it paid for, and that's how I got the bike I wanted. So, I mean, that's how you learn to do things.
Sure.
And back then, I may have mentioned this on the show last time. The weirdest job I ever had was when I was in high school at T.R. Miller. Dale Garner was a superintendent. And that's right. And I drove a school bus. Now, you think about a 16-year-old today driving a school bus.
Wait, you were driving the school bus as a 16-year-old?
Yep.
Winning.
Was that legal, Bob?
It was.
Winning.
I had a driver's license.
A long time ago.
Listen, there's nothing more winning than that I've ever heard right there.
Well, the driving test was they parked the buses downtown, and they had a gate, and if you could back it through the gate and not scratch it, you got the job.
Wait a minute. Like you had a route? Like you picked kids up for school?
In Alco.
You're kidding me.
No.
Did you keep the bus at your house?
This.
Oh, I kept the bus at my house.
Did you ever
Bob,
take
you
it
got to
out
come on more, man.
Did you ever take it out on weekends?
No. We didn't do any road trips in it.
You know a lot of guys that drove buses. Ronnie and Larry Padgett both.
I've never heard this.
Hill Hagler.
Well, you may need to get us all on here one day.
We're going to do that.
Get all the former bus drivers.
You're telling me that kids...
We weren't kids. We were young adults.
Young adults ran the bus routes.
That's right.
Did you have bus 3 or 5, or do you remember?
I don't know. I had the Alco route because I remember, the back side coming down Alco, the curvy road there. One day I was coming down the hill.
I mean, this is classic, man.
The throttle linkage came off and the engine revved wide open. And so I couldn't turn it off, so I put it in first gear and rode that thing. I think I blew the engine up. But all the kids were fine, but they were standing holding on, Nobody sat down on the bus.
So you show up the week before school and Del T throws you a set of keys.
No, I had to.
Sorry, Jones, you got bus 5.
Well, I had to pass the driving test. I had to back it out of the gate.
But you picked up the keys in September and turned them into May.
Yep, something like that.
That is great. That is great.
There was several. I mean, Danny said there's several around us.
Several of them because they used to pick us up on the hill in Alco.
That was me.
And there were so many kids. Were you driving the bus the day the kid fell out the back?
No.
I'm telling you.
No.
So you didn't close the doors?
Yeah, well, they didn't close the door good, and he just fell out in the middle of the road.
My mind is blown. All I can see is Dwayne Hammock running the Alco route on bus 7. I mean, all of a sudden he's loading up the Dillashaws with the Ward boys.
Could you see him pulling over at Hardy's and saying, "I'm gonna tell y'all,
I can't see
y'all about to calm down in the back back there now."
Or just open the door.
Well, you just kept pushing them on. I mean, there was not enough seats, and so they'd stand up, they'd fill up the seats, and you just, it's quite an image.
The way things have changed, there were 59 kids on the hill in Alco under 15. I mean, they filled up the bus by themselves.
Well, that's why,
This is great. I've never heard this.
I've never heard this.
This is great.
This is awesome. I mean, a 16-year-old driving a bus route.
59-year-old.
That
preteens.
Man.
Were you the driver for field trips as well?
No. It was just in the summer and during school,
So I'm assuming that being 16, all that craziness didn't bother you.
No.
Like it would have an older bus driver.
Probably not.
Say Shirley or Popcorn or some,
It seemed fine. I don't remember any real issues. So,
and then after school, you'd
park it at the house.
You'd pull your bus up. You'd load them all up.
Across the street and leave it there.
And then you'd drop everybody off and take it to the house.
I can tell you on bus number 6 that ran the Alco route back when we was in school.
What year was that?
Let's see, 88 to 92.
No. You got to get back long.
Well, I just said Miss Shirley would pull that bus over behind Hardy's, and she'd go out there and break a switch off and take you off that bus and tan you up. I'm not joking, man. Miss Shirley didn't play.
Yeah, I would say it was 70, 71 right in there when they quit doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it was right. They weren't doing it by the time I was a senior.
Okay.
Well, that would have been when some of those Fouts boys were coming along. That makes sense.
Well, that might be an interesting show. That's kind of probably a piece of historical trivia in Bruton.
That is great.
The Bus Boys or something they call them. I don't know.
I've never heard that. I just, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
So did they misbehave at all?
I don't remember a problem. I mean, kids are kids. It was fine. We made it. I mean, we survived. Everybody was good.
I think it's great. I mean, it makes strong people. I mean, that is great.
Yeah, they had to hold on really tight.
Yeah, later on I asked Dale, I said, how in the world did you do it? He said, I knew you'd be all right.
I'm going to tell you something.
Great. That's a great story.
That is a great story. And number 2, it is an even better story to know that Dale Garner had that kind of faith in you.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I'm just being honest. I mean, that's strong as new road. I mean, really.
I'm having an idea here, and it's drive time with DJ, KJ, and Bob. What are you doing Monday through Friday?
Okay, we'll schedule. You guys are a lot of fun.
This is great.
We got stories. Huh?
This is great. God,
I mean,
do you ever remember like I mean, do you have a memory of an incident like bus trouble or getting to school late?
Just that time coming down the hill, that was pretty scary. You know, that was pretty bad because you have air brakes. You can't turn the engine off, so you had to let it go. And then,
so were you the driver's ed teacher as well?
No. Did
you get paid?
I wasn't that
good. Did you get paid?
Oh yeah, I got paid.
That's awesome, man.
What's that? Free transportation?
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. And on weekends, if you had chosen to, possibly.
I didn't think that way then.
Boy,
you could say road trip and party time, right?
Did you drive like to football games?
No. It was just the route in town.
Just to school. I got you. Well,
I'm getting a report here. Jack Rowell and Mike Minshew were drivers.
Okay.
At one time. That's from Donna Fuquay Weaver.
Wow. I'm gonna tell you something. That was that I've never heard that. I'd love to hear Dale T tell that story.
I don't know how long it had gone.
Well, then it made it to 73.
Okay.
Because they would have been the last ones.
That's I've never heard that. That's classic.
Yeah. That's
was that the norm? Like, was that going on in Flomaton and Atmore and other areas, or do we know?
I don't know.
This day, I mean, they'd put you like under the jail, wouldn't they?
Well, Danny, of course, you were on the school board for many years. Is that something y'all would have considered?
We got this great idea for youth development. We're going to let them drive the school buses.
You know, one of the problems that we have today with kids being able to work is we've got so many regulations. Like they'd have to get a commercial driver's license. Well, you got to be 18 to get a commercial driver's license. I mean, I can't even hire kids to deliver because that's considered delivery the same as a guy pulling a truck. So
I don't even think technically they can use staplers now. It's a hazardous device or something. I don't know. It's really gotten over the top.
Well, I know that when you see things where you get they have to put cameras in these buses and all this kind of stuff now. Just to make sure to keep people safety and that kind of thing. It's a lot different time. Of course, back in those days, as Hayes Martin would say, and we all know Hayes Martin, it wasn't nothing to hitchhike from Kego to Bruton on a regular basis. And, of course, I can't tell those stories as good as Hayes could. You know some of the stories, I'm sure, Danny, I'm talking about. But Hayes had a way of telling those stories. But like he said, you could just do that kind of thing, and you don't have to worry about, all that craziness. I mean, just
one of my favorite stories about that, my father-in-law, Robert Gordon from Atmore, there was a famous football player athlete called Tarzan White. That
you say Tarzan?
Tarzan White.
Okay.
Tarzan,
Winning.
He was a All-American. I think he played professional football and then went on to be a wrestler. And he and my father-in-law were contemporaries. And the stories they would tell about the stuff they would get into, they would hop the train in Atmore and go to Pensacola for the day, ride the freight train down. So they catch it down and then spend the day in Pensacola and hop the freight train back. And nobody didn't tell the parents anything about it. But Tarzan White was something else. So his stories are worldwide. So.
Hopping a train.
That's what they did.
That's too good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people tell stories about hopping a train in Bruton and riding it to Flomaton or Atmore or I've heard people talk about riding them to Montgomery and things. Right. But I've watched some videos on YouTube where these people will go video jumping a train and riding this thing for like across country, and of course they hop different trains and things. And I'm thinking, this day and age, that can't be too safe, or couldn't be too safe to do that kind of thing. But back then,
they drive 70 miles an hour through town.
Yeah, I mean, right.
It's pretty hard to jump one.
And I remember as a kid, hanging out the windows of the car. I mean, I don't know that we even had car seats. If we did, I don't remember them. You just did whatever. I mean, seatbelts were like, okay, they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't and you allowed to pass somebody that had 25 people on the back of a truck. And that was okay too,
Well, the seat restraint for a mother was a right arm. She'd throw it out.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because most of that, like if you were, small enough, you were actually in the lap of your mother's while she was driving the car, hanging out the window.
Hey. Did you see what your mother-in-law just posted?
I did not.
When she was a kid, they lived in Wabeek, or her dad lived in Wabeek, And back in those days, the train would stop in Wabeek and pick the kids up and give them a ride to Atmore to go to school.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. I wonder if we get CSX to do that here.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, I don't know if they need a ride. I don't think it would take them to school here.
Well, the train would stop in Canoe because that's where the city of Mobile got its water from. Because the water down there, there was a spring right there in Canoe, and they'd fill up the vessels and load them on the train and take fresh water down to Mobile.
You're my hero, Bob. I want you to know that.
I'm just telling you, like, some of these stories are just
in the county.
I've just been around and got a lot of stuff.
Golly.
Right? So.
I mean,
you don't know this, but I'm going to lunch with you today. Yeah. I want to hear more.
This is just amazing. I had no clue that all this stuff went on. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's man. That's yeah. I don't want to say anything about the tracks. We'll have people all over the tracks looking for that cash. Yeah. It's not on the tracks. No, remember that, people.
That would not be a smart move.
Yank Leather said it to begin with. It's not on the tracks. So it's not on a trestle. I've not climbed out on no trestle to put the egg. So if we don't say that, trust me, there'll be somebody out there. I think I saw a post earlier where somebody had marked off every spot they'd looked in Jennings Park, and you couldn't see anything but little marks, dots. Oh man, that's all. You couldn't see grass. It was just dots. So I rode by. I had to come down to the Ford store last night, and I rode by Jennings Park, and I'd venture to say there was 25 to 35 people out there with flashlights last night looking. So, which is, hey, that's what made it fun last year, and to see all that. Of course, most people kind of all congregated to Bruton because they thought it was, in Bruton. And this year, I think that people are more scattered out with it. But anyway, let me ask you this, Dan. You're talking about the $2 bill thing. So you did that 2 years in a row?
Well, the first year I gave it to my employees, and they passed it out. The second year, I tried to do something with the schools. I gave the seniors at each school $30 with the same, stipulation, spend it local, and then do a certain amount of it to somebody needed it worse than you did. And so, but after that, the novelty had kind of worn off a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, that was that really was a great idea, and it certainly was one of the very first things I said to DJ when I said, you remember that thing Danny Cottrell did, a few years back? And that's kind of how it started. And then we kind of went from there.
Well, he got national notoriety for that.
He absolutely
the national media
did.
Picked up on it, came and interviewed him.
Yeah, we have not made it to the list he's on.
No, nobody does.
We are.
We don't engage him in sports trivia. I've learned that too.
We are Z listers. That's what we call it. Yes,
okay.
And because that's the bottom of the barrel. They don't. I think maybe double Z might be lower, so we may be double Z.
And Bob, I appreciate you laughing because your Q rating took a hit today too.
Oh, did it?
Winning.
All right.
Well, you know what? The crazy thing about all that is it's just like what DJ and I've talked about, or DJ talked about it before. Josh Godwin talking about having the second best hamburger in town. Things like that are what make people, remember and you remember that kind of stuff.
Well, Bruton is a special place. I hate that a lot of people come work here but don't live here and really get a chance to see. Y'all both grew up here. I started at the pharmacy when I was 15. Jack Welburn hired me to deliver, and I didn't have a driver's license, so he hired Riggs. But I ended up in the pharmacy.
Well, which one? Okay, now I want to ask this question, Danny. Now, which one of you come out on the better end right there?
I don't know. I'm not the state's best football coach.
Just think, if it goes the other way, he might be the pharmacist and you might be the football coach.
How about that? Because you see Coach Riggs up there as the pharmacist, and I can see Danny being the football coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know that I can see Coach Riggs being the pharmacist. Let me say that. Not because he's not capable, but just Coach. Could you hear Coach? Get that. No, don't do that. Yeah, that'd be. I think y'all both ended up where you're supposed to have been.
Well, my brother wanted to be, when we were growing up, he wanted to be anything but a coach, and I wanted to be a coach. But after I messed my leg up pretty good, I decided I better do something I could sit down at. But
so Ronnie ended up doing what you wanted to do, and he wanted to do anything but that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe was that a testament to you, or did he just decide it was something he just decided he wanted to do, or?
Well, Ronnie thought he was going to get out and make a lot of money, and he ended up working as a grunt right out of high school on the Southern Pine utility lines. And then Hurricane Frederick came, and he spent 3 weeks in the woods in Washington County and got food poisoning twice.
That'll get religion right there.
And so
that old car crashed real quick for him.
He came back and started at junior college, and Mr. Garner and Mike Sasser let him coach at Miller while he was doing his school. And so but like I say, 3 weeks with no power in Washington County.
I'm going to go learn the triple option.
I will tell you what, I don't care. Next time I see him, I'm going to say, listen, Southern Pine need a few good men if you right now, if you don't mind helping a little bit. I bet he drives through places, like it was just devastated over, Panama City over, and I had a chance a couple of months ago to drive through the interstate there, and it's still just
it's a
disaster.
It'll be years.
It will. It definitely will.
And the thing about that storm was it was supposed to come here. The people over there will tell you they didn't expect it to hit because it was headed directly for us.
That's right.
And it took a last-minute turn, 3 degrees. And I tell our people all the time, when we're having a bad day, we just need to stop and realize that could be here.
Sure. Oh, sure.
And
I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us, I'm the main one. When Ivan was coming through, my wife's one of the preparers. She went to, just Walmart, all these different stores in town, bought up all these batteries and bought up all this stuff. And I'm thinking, what are you, what's wrong with you? We've had these hurricanes and stuff, nothing ever happened. Let me tell you something. That next morning, about 2:30, 3 o'clock, when it was getting with it like it was, I looked at her she made us all get in the closet, and I said, I'm sure glad you went and bought up all that stuff you did, because had she not, we've probably been in bad shape.
Well, May 5th, the week of May 5th is Hurricane Preparedness Week. And so that's when it's time to start, not to have a Debbie Downer in the talk, but it's hurricane season starts in June, so it's not too soon to begin to think about that. And that's, I think, the week of the 5th through the 11th. It's National Hurricane Preparedness Week.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know how prepared you can get for a storm like that. Honestly, there's only so much you can do, and then at that point, you just need to evacuate.
It's funny, living in this part of the country, so much of our lives, everybody uses storms as an index. Like Danny was talking about Hurricane Katrina, and you were talking about Hurricane Ivan and Aaron. All of our events somehow tie back to one of those storms. We got married in the middle of Hurricane Carmen. So I always tell people, we got married in the eye of a storm. We've stayed there for 45 years, and so and never left it.
And everything's lovely.
Well, everybody has a story around storms.
That's right.
Those are the.
Well, what's funny is right after Hurricane Ivan, we had Dennis, I think it was. And when I say right after, was it a couple months later or something like that? And my brother, his wedding was that weekend. And so it was one of those, I hate to say rush jobs, but it was like, let's get finished with this, because I wasn't riding another one out. We went to Stone Mountain, Georgia. I'm not going to lie to you. I said, no, I'm not. I heard trees and stuff popping and cracking and there were trees down everywhere around my house, but on my house. I don't know how it managed, but I can tell you this, 6 months later, there wasn't a tree in my yard. There's not one now, because I said, I have never going through that again. That was, that was an experience right there. I mean, you know, and of course, I remember as a kid when Frederick came through, and I don't know if Frederick was as bad here as what Ivan was. I can't remember. I mean, I just remember it coming through, but I know Frederick was rough on the, was the Mobile area,
Gulf Shores, and Biloxi, particularly. I think.
Yeah, I think it was real tough over there. So, I remember Frederick, Opal being bad, and of course Ivan being real bad. So, Opal was bad, but I don't remember it being as bad as what Ivan was.
No. Ivan was about as bad as it gets. Now, the one Michael that just hit, they've just upgraded it to a Cat 5.
So they did say when it hit land, it was a Cat 5. Wow.
That's right.
So, Lauren, I want to ask you this: since opening the branch by the elementary school, have you had a chance to take a break and breathe? I mean, it seems like that y'all that place kind of stays hopping as well.
It does. We're doing really well there, doing a lot of loans. We're seeing a lot of traffic, even though we don't have a drive-through. But it seems to be really well. I mean, people stop in. They actually want to come in and see us. And so.
Now, will y'all be doing loans out of the East Bruton location as well, or is that just a...
We won't do them out of the East Bruton location, but I will do them for East Bruton at my location.
Right. They just send them up to see you. I got you. So it's a kind of like a satellite branch, or what would you call it?
It's just a small office that Kiki, y'all met Kiki. Yep. She'll be in that office, and she'll do, there's a little drive-through window. It's actually really cool. Have you ever seen Danny's window? And so we have the same little window. You just open it up and hang out, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah. That's cool. That it's all in the same building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
you can get your drugs.
Yeah.
You can get your money.
Yeah.
So you can just buy our drive up, get the cash, and drive through Denny's and get your drugs and pay for them.
Yeah. Well, legally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the best part about being part of that is you can do all that and not have to worry about the law.
That's right.
So, but no, I just notice every time I ride by there that place, especially in East Bruton, is hopping.
Yeah.
Well, there is people don't realize how much traffic goes from where you cross the railroad tracks by underground Bruton till where you turn, where 29 turns off going toward Andalusia. I mean, that's one of the busiest traffic spots in.
That's no doubt.
It's a good place for business.
And Danny, we might talk a little bit about, you were commenting earlier this morning about, since we're opening that office in Unity Fiber, one of the limitations we've had in terms of being able to do some things is the absence of high-speed broadband. And Unity is extending their connection across the bridge, so to speak, to provide service to us. And so I think, the point Danny was making earlier, now that will open up access in East Bruton for broadband that hadn't existed before. That's a huge deal.
We're actually in the process of going with those guys as well. And I don't know who y'all dealing with. Kevin Luker's who I've been talking with, and they have an amazing service. I mean, I think last 7-8 years, I think they've been up for 99% of the time. I mean, I can tell you that from frustration with this show, that doesn't happen with every other internet service provider. That's for sure. And in the business world today, you have to have internet. You cannot be down. If you're down, business stops.
Well, and that's something we're devoting more of our time in the bank. We operate two organizations, the United Bank, which is the traditional community bank, but we have this other company called UB Community Development, and that's the entity that does a lot of this community development work and new market tax credits and specialized lending that we do all over the state of Alabama, frankly, to help with economic development and job creation. But one of the things that we're seeing, and it's becoming much more widely understood, if you do not have high-speed broadband, your opportunities for economic development and growth are very limited.
They are.
And it affects healthcare, education, commerce. I was at a program recently and made the comparison. It's a little bit like in the early days, we had, the old federal road. You know what that is? Okay, all right, good. Okay.
I'm with you.
All right, it's there. And then cities and towns develop along the rivers, and that's how towns developed. Then it was the highways, then the interstates. Well, now, if you're not on high-speed broadband, it's like being off the interstate.
Yeah, you're off grid.
You're off the grid, and children can't do their homework. You can't get the medical care you need and all of the things. And so it is a big, big emphasis across rural America right now.
In walks,
and that's a swam.
The
right?
pot's supposed to get splashed.
In walks a living legend.
Let me tell this story just real quick, not only for the panel here, but also for the people listening in. Tank Dassinger, one of our native sons here, a Terra Miller graduate of 1986, splashed the pot back prior to the NCAA tournament. He's an Alabama fan, a self-proclaimed Alabama fan, but he's a sport.
Well, my daughter started
War Eagle. I mean,
yeah. So he had done his research, and he saw where the Auburn basketball team averaged about 75 points a game. So he was going to pledge $1 per point that they scored in the NCAA tournament. He said they might win a game, they might win 2. I'll be in for $150. I love it. 4 games later.
I'm down about $400-something.
Come on, man. He probably bribed that ref to make that call.
He can't get out of it. He said, look, man, if I write a check for $500, can I just get out of it?
That's what I can do. I can write a check.
Bossman Productions. Hey, what was so funny about that was he was in with his daughter the other week at the Ford store, and it was still going on, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to have to go float me alone, man. They keep scoring these points.
Now we know who paid the ref.
I just want out.
Yeah.
I just want out.
Yeah. I mean,
who knew?
It wasn't quite 500.
I knew that you would know that, Tank. I guarantee he knows to the dollar how many points it was.
But that is one of the things. That is one of the things. Thank you, Tank.
Thank you, Tank.
That has made it so much fun. It's just a number of people. The number of people who participated and played and added to the fun. And like we said many times in y'all today, without people splashing the pot, there's no game. So it's awesome.
Hang on to that check. It'll be good in a few weeks.
Winning.
Listen. I will tell this.
He's
Tank,
a good guy.
You know this is the truth. Tank is one of the few people that talks about himself in the third person. Well, Tank's gonna go do this and this. And, and when he does, I start giving him down the road because, the only other person I've really ever heard talk like that's The Rock, the wrestler. And now, don't get me wrong, you probably wouldn't want to tackle Tank. He seems to be in pretty good shape. So his daughter's actually in better shape than he is.
I kind of want this to lead into something, and I want Danny, if he will, to speak to it, because Danny does such. I've heard him do it a couple of times, and he explains it in a way that it makes sense to all of us. I'm one of those. You got to put it down to where the billy goats can eat it for me to understand it. And he does that, and we've talked about the communities that we live in, not just Bruton, but Atmore, Flomaton, Evergreen, all the surrounding areas. These are great places that we live. We have so many opportunities to be supportive of our communities, and every chance that we have, we should make that effort. I understand we're going to go to different places, whether it be Pensacola or the beach, to spend money from time to time. But shopping local, especially in rural areas, is absolutely critical. And without it, you are dying on the vine. And Danny, if you will, talk about what a dollar spent locally means to the community.
Well, the big difference is if you spend $1 here in Bruton as compared to the dollar in Pensacola, you might save 2 or 3 cents, but you're going to spend the gas getting down there. But 4 cents goes to Alabama, going to help with education. 4 cents is going, or 3.5 is going to go to the county, and 2.5 to the city. And I know in Bruton, at least 1.5 of that's dedicated to schools. So, in Bruton, I think it's 5.5 cents out of every dollar going to education. Mm-hmm. So, and I know the county is at least 1%, so at least 5 for the county schools. We're fortunate that we've got some very philanthropic people in this area. The Neils and the Millers and the Macmillans and their foundations,
the
Finley's done some wonderful things here. You've got the Indians are doing quite a bit. I mean, you can't keep up with all their. We've we're really, really fortunate. Our county is having trouble keeping that 35 to 50 age demographic. I think grass is greener on the other side. And so I just, hope folks will give Bruton a chance. Thank goodness, with the Provalis coming, maybe we've got an opportunity to bring some people in. But hey, I've been here since I was 17 months old. It's not a bad place to be. It's treated my family very well.
Yeah, I want to touch on what you just said. You're talking about Provalis and just the different businesses. Obviously, Medical Center Pharmacy, United Bank. People don't realize, and I see posts on Facebook all the time. And these are local business people, and it amazes me that they would make posts like this. Look at all the empty buildings in Bruton. Well, my question to you would be this: what are you doing about it? Because my thing is that it's easy to point and throw rocks, okay? But the thing is, if that's all you're doing, then you're part of the problem, not part of the solution, And let's all be real honest. I mean, there are some empty buildings, but there's empty buildings in every city in this country. Even small, medium, big, huge, that's the way it is, And people, that as you pointed out, that don't realize, look, I realize there are things just like this kind of stuff. There are things you can't buy in Bruton. Okay, I mean, I get it. Some things or Atmore or Monroeville or Evergreen, our area. But the things that you can, give these businesses an opportunity, because what you're going to find is that when you pick that phone up, I said this to somebody the other day. I said, when you pick that phone up and dial 911, okay, and your house is on fire, do you want them to say, well, you hadn't bought anything in this community and paid any tax in the last 3 years, so have a good one. Fend for yourself. They don't do that. That has to be, that money, I mean, it's got to come from somewhere, and a lot of it comes from sales tax.
Well, and that's true in every small town, particularly the main revenue stream that communities have are the sales tax collections. And when people want more public services and they want all of the things that you need to have a vibrant community, if you are not spending your dollars locally and supporting organizations that contribute to the taxes of the city, then you can't really complain that you're not getting the services.
That's right.
Because you're basically giving your dollars to somewhere else. It's we tell people all the time, where you shop is a vote.
That's a fact.
I mean, that dollar you give someone is a vote for their business
That's
against someone else. And when you give money to another community, you're saying, I prefer to support that community over mine. Now, the obligation that we have, or Danny, or any of us in business, is to give the best service and quality products. We don't deserve, the loyalty for not giving them what they deserve. But people need to understand that if you want, in our business, a part of the taxes we pay go to the cities and counties that we're in, based on our deposits. And so we're very proud to contribute to that, because like you say, if our building catches on fire, our policeman's going to help. If God forbid, we have a robbery, we've contributed to their salary. And not all institutions do that. I mean, but that's a part of being a part of the community.
Yeah, with the two dealerships, we I think we are the second largest sales tax payer in Bruton. Mm-hmm. And behind Walmart, obviously, Walmart, I think they're the largest by far. But, I can tell you, after sitting through 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 sales tax audits over 20-something years, I can tell you that it means a lot for places like these smaller communities, the Brutons, the Atmores, the Evergreens, the Monroevilles, even the Excels and the smaller towns. It means a lot, as Daniel alluded to earlier, about during the recession. That's when you really need those dollars spent locally, because without that, there were a lot of businesses that just didn't have enough cushion to make it through, that time. And that was a tough time period as it was. So, when people want to gripe, I can go to, across the line and I don't have to pay sales tax on groceries. Well, okay, here's my question. How much did you spend in gas to get there? And how much did you go eat when you went to a restaurant? Guess what? If you shop local to whichever community you were, chances are you probably didn't grab anything to eat. You just went and bought groceries and came back. So you really hadn't saved any money, but in their mind, they want, that they have. And same thing, and I'm not trying to get off on a tangent, but it's the same thing about roads. We hear this about roads all the time. The roads this, roads that. I think everybody needs to understand Highway 31 and Highway 41 are state highways. I don't know that the city of Bruton or the city of Atmore can touch those roads. I've been told that's state, and that's the state handles that kind of thing. So if you're going to gripe about something, gripe about it, but what are you doing to solve it? What's the solution?
Well, one thing to also remember when you're deciding where you want to do your business, sometime or another go to a Little League game and see whose names are on all the shirts and the signs, and your local businesses that are successful tend to do a whole lot more for the town and the schools than you were talking about Pete Chevrolet and Ford and how much their sales tax was for I'm going to tell you what Chip does around this town. If everybody realized what all he did, they wouldn't buy their vehicles anywhere else.
But the way I agree with that, and the way I look at it, whether it's with Peach Ford or anywhere, medical center, pharmacy, when you choose to purchase there, you get a rebate off that in different ways, whether it's through the school system that your kids are in, or the city programs that are funded through the tax base or whatnot. So you do get something back. You spend it down the road, you get none of it back. You don't participate in their programs. You're not in their school systems. You get none of it. And you talked about when you look at the ball fields and look at the jerseys and the signs on the fence, look at that scroller. You don't see Amazon up there. You don't see Google up there, but you do see all the local businesses in our Tri-County area. You see individuals who have done it, who have invested in our communities. And that's what we need to focus on, I think, moving forward, is keep it here and let's help each other. That's not to mention the number of people that are employed at these places of business. How many people do you have employed roughly between the medical center pharmacy and over in East Bruton?
20. Well, and add Flomaton in, I've got right at 30.
Right at 30. That's 30 families that are fed out of those three pharmacies. I think the dealership, we have close to 80 between the two dealerships. That's right. So you're not necessarily just helping that person, you're helping those families live. And that goes for all of our places of business. And I think that every chance we get, we like to have a good time here. We like to laugh and cut up and everything, but it is good sometimes to step back and look at the fiscal responsibility that we have, the economic responsibility we have, and keep the focus there, because that is what will give us the opportunity moving forward to keep the things in place that we've enjoyed throughout our lives here.
I get people wanting to save money. This day and age, it's more and more you see and hear that. I can save 10-15% by doing this or doing that, buying online and that kind of thing. But if it's something that you can buy local, take out. The fact is we don't get to enjoy a lot of these things we enjoy in our communities without people shopping local.
Think about the personal relationship that you have. As a banker, I know I get messages all the time. What other bank does that? You think about it. I have someone text me and say, "Hey, can you make a transfer?" Do you have that in bigger cities? No. You think about Danny, they deliver. How many big cities do you see that in? Someone can call me and say, "I need $10,000. Yeah, I'm going to have to get information for them, but I'm going to have it done that day."
Sure.
We were having this conversation, I think it was Sunday, Jason, Daniel, and I, and we were talking about the after-hours clinic. Greg Garrett and her staff up there, we've used it. My family and I have used it several times. And after our medical situation has been completely diagnosed and we've been satisfied there, they have always asked me about a score of a ball game, a school activity that my children might have been in, something that had a personal connection with it, a personal investment. And I can't tell you, and this is just my opinion, I think most of us would probably share this, I can't tell you how much that means to me, that my total well-being, my family's total well-being is important to these people, because we do see each other at church, we do see each other during the day at the ball field or the band concert or whatever it may be. And to me, that should matter. And I've made reference several times, watching that scroller again, as you're watching this show, watching this program, you ought to pay attention to that scroller, because without those people, without those businesses, and it will be updated, by the way, we'll make sure we hear everybody else on it. There is no game. There is no good time. And it's these people that made it happen. Amazon does not sponsor this. XYZ down in Mobile, Alabama, or Atlanta, Georgia does not sponsor this. It's us taking care of us. And I think that's critical.
Oh, it is. And, Lauren touched on this too. When you could pick the phone up and say you had an accident, okay, and you call Geico, and I'm just using the name, just a random, some online injury. You don't know who you're talking to. They don't know you. They don't care about whether or not you're getting taken care of or anything like that. You deal with a local insurance agency, and it doesn't matter which one. I mean, I'm just saying, I promise you, you're going to have a relationship with them that you can pick the phone up at 10:30 that night when you had that accident and call them and say, hey, what do I do? And guess what they're going to do? They're going to jump right on it. Mm-hmm. To me, relationships are things that have been lost because of, and we do this online, but a lot of things have been lost due to that,
But it's also about how you spin it, because I've made friends because of the technology. I mean, I have good friends, I think, through this program that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So it's about how you spin it and what's important in your heart and the decisions we make going forward. But I think it's great that we had this conversation today, especially having who we have up here today, because with United Bank, of course, being community-oriented, wanting to invest in our communities, that's what we talked about last year when y'all were here. And, of course, Danny's body of work speaks for itself over and over again.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, anything you want to touch on before? If there's a National Brass hit out, let us know.
I will. I feel like they're coming back.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
We know at least a Finley at the Wharf. Maybe we could get something going on down there.
I'm sure there's something.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think this is the whole concept is really remarkable, and you're to be credited for what you do to promote it.
Thank you. And listen, we appreciate you and what you guys do for the communities and our communities. And, it's not hard to look around and see a United Bank somewhere. That's a fact. And, of course, Lauren, I know she stays busy. Like I said, every time you go by there, that place is wrapped up. Y'all gonna have to buy some parking or something.
She wants a new building, so that she keeps
that might work better. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you, parking is a premium over there from time to time.
Maybe we can get an empty building in town.
Hey, there you go. So,
to Danny's point, and one of the things about the bank, since we've been in Escambia County since 1904, and being in Atmore and Flomaton, Bruton, and East Bruton, we really have a strong commitment to this county. I mean, we're in every community, and really that's unique in what we do and work with in Jay and Century. And so when you really look at our footprint, we have a strong commitment to this area, to the communities of it. It's a big part of who we are and what we do. And we are very proud to make kind of a difference in each of the communities we're in. So, and Bruton is real important to us.
And let me say this about bankers. If you go in and apply for a loan and you get turned down, listen, don't get mad with them. You've got mail that has explained to you why you've been turned down. I have to have that conversation about, 20 times a week, it seems. They get, I'm like, don't get mad, just understand.
Well, something that we do, speaking on that, is a lot of times I will have, if it's a younger person, even an older person, I will coach them on how to go about fixing their credit, and that's really important.
It is.
It doesn't matter what age you are, you can still fix it.
That's right.
So, that's a big part of what we do.
That's right.
I got one more story for you.
I would love to hear it.
So it's a driving story.
Got to be.
Got to have another one. I thought about it after we got talking. So when I was living here in Bruton growing up, I was in Troop 42. Leo Page was our scoutmaster. Leo had this green Ford station wagon.
The family truckster.
Yeah, and he let me drive that station wagon.
When you were 9?
No, I was older than that.
Winning.
And so when Leo passed away, I was at his wake and was talking to some of his sons and said he would not let anybody else, none of us, drive that wagon except you. And I never even realized that till much later. He was so important in my growing up and development. He was such a great guy. But that kind of, after we were laughing about driving, I was thinking about driving that station wagon, going with these guys in Troop 42 to camps and all. So it was one of those good stories. That
wild times back in the day.
Oh, man, yeah. Bobby Kennedy and all that stuff.
16 years old driving a school bus.
I'll leave you on that. Well, I think it was more important for Leo let me drive his station wagon than important than Dale driving the bus.
I don't know how you top. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you top that.
I don't know.
I'll leave. Maybe
that's great.
Maybe Lauren or Danny has one that can, but that's gonna be tough.
He must be a better driver than I was. That's all I'm saying.
You had never skinned a vehicle up, have you?
Oh no, my dad used to make us drive the hearse around at 16.
Oh, man, wow! I'm gonna be honest with you. That'd been tough on me.
That'd be rough.
That would.
There was never anyone in there. It was just the flower.
Listen, I saw.
That makes me feel a lot better.
I saw Salem. I saw Salem's Lot when I was about 7 or 8. Yeah, when I saw Salem's Lot when I was about 7 or 8 years old, that movie scared me to death, and coffins and all this stuff. Anyway, but as long as there wasn't anybody in there, it was okay.
There's no one in there.
Yeah.
All right, we
I
got
don't
more
think he would
stories,
have
so invite us
trusted
back.
We're going to do that.
All right.
Danny,
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all very
Appreciate
much.
y'all coming by. Lauren, thank you so much.
We're going to get y'all to sign our board before you leave.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Please.
got to do that. All right, so DJ, let me do this. We got to get out of here.
Man, what a great Tuesday morning. Danny Cottrell, Lauren Yoder, Bob Jones, all in with us this morning, talking good times, talking economy, talking supporting our places that we live, places that we work. Great fun. If you get out and have a chance to visit or trade with these folks, we'd certainly encourage you to do so. We certainly appreciate you being in with us this morning. If you have some time to waste tomorrow, we'll do it again. Y'all have a great day. Love y'all.